a lot of the pictures of the work that we're doing right now are all displayed here, and these change all of the time. So we are always, so we're always putting new work up. We do have 3 programs here at College of Design. Like I talked about, we have the architecture, we have interior design, but we also have, sorry about that. But we also have historic preservation, which is really, really cool. So you all know like really old buildings that you see that sometimes like have work being done to them, but they're really old buildings. So there's a standard, and there are lots of legal things that you have to follow when you're working on old buildings. So we want to make sure that we're preserving the history that's involved there, but we also want to make sure that when we're renovating buildings that they're safe, that they're up to standard. I'm sure that you all have heard about, like there's certain chemicals in really old paint that can be really harmful. So we have to take all of that into consideration, but still make sure that we are preserving that history. So we have a historic preservation degree here that allows you to learn everything about working on these old buildings and preserving them while still making them perfectly safe for people today. So that's another really cool program that we do have here. It's also really cool because in Kentucky there are so many really neat historic buildings that that when you finish with that degree that you can be a part of and work on. Okay, so we'll go ahead and come down here. That's one side. Okay, so like I said, before we go in here, just kind of be careful about touching things, because I want to make sure that none of you all get hurt. But if you have any questions about what things do, just let me know, okay? Do not touch anything. Okay. So we'll go ahead and let's walk through. Oh, they have this lock. Okay. Hang on, I'll get the code for this. If you all don't want to look through, there's a huge printer there. It doesn't look like a normal printer. So you know the printers that you all have like a computer lab and stuff, they print paper. This printer has a really big blade on it, and you're able to print on wood that's like as thick as this. You're able to print on styrofoam, and you can cut out plans or like drawings. And so, for instance, like the neighborhoods that you all live in. So say that you were like above the neighborhood seeing a bird's eye view of it. It looks like, tops of little houses. You can see the slopes of all the different hills. You can see the roadways. So what that printer can do is if you have a neighborhood plan, it can print a bird's eye view of that on wood or on styrofoam. And what's really, really cool is say that one of the neighborhoods that you live in had a lot of problems with flooding. And so every time it rained, people were getting way too much water in their yards, and the grass was all dying, and it was causing problems with the cars being able to drive on the roads. So when you're able to print a whole neighborhood plan, like on styrofoam, say, then you're able to look at it from a bird's eye perspective in your own studio, and you can see, well, maybe if we add some levels to this part of the ground, or if we change the roadways in this way, then that would prevent future flooding. And so you're able to work on real life projects, which is super, super fun, because sometimes in college, you get, like, in different degrees, you'll get these things called case studies, and they're sort of like fake situations, and you have to think of what you would do in them. And those can be super, super helpful, but it's always really fun when you have a real project in front of you, and when you can go to the neighborhood that you're working with and see the problems, and then come up with a solution, and then see your solution put in place. So the studio group that we had working on that neighborhood actually got to use their work and and create different slopes and fix all the flooding problems in the neighborhood, which is awesome because then whenever you go after college to get a job, you can say, I did this and this and this project, but this project I actually got to work on in real life, and my work was used to help a neighborhood stop having flooding problems, that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. We'll go on through this way. If you all want to, you can go right on ahead.
Do not touch anything.
Yes and no. Yes and no. There was an existing home, but I completely obliterated it. Yeah, well, I thought
Okay, so when you just shoot it here, you're able to come down. Anytime the shop is open, you can leave the school. And during your first year, you get your class so that you learn how to use everything. So it's really exciting because it's all hands-on and you get to use like all kinds of materials like wood, styrofoam, metal, 3D printing, materials too. If you want to, we're gonna go this little hallway. You have to go through the aisle and there's really cool things. Okay, if you want to, go ahead through here. And these are all of our 3D printers, so I'm gonna show you some models that we can make. I'm gonna say what kind of weight it's just really neat in there.
Be careful that the vinyl doesn't knock your game station out of your hand, okay? Keep going, guys. There are a few more of us. Keep going. Keep going. Thank you for stopping, though. Just don't touch anything. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Sorry, sir. Enjoy. Look at some of these 3D items. These are cool. Don't lean on anything and don't touch anything.
We're not touching anything.
Thank you.
We're filling the air.
You're feeling the air? Oh, there's an air conditioner, I see.
Okay, so if you want to, y'all can pass these around. Just be careful. Some of them have little pieces, so they're kind of breakable.
Are these made of wood?
See what?
Are these made of wood?
No, this is a 3D material, and it comes in big blocks, and you put it in these printers with plans that you design on the computer, and it prints out and cuts for you. So it's really cool. Then these printers right here are called laser cutters, and they have these real laser beams. They're really small, and you can put like cardboard or really thick paper in here or wood, and you create a design, you put it on a thumb drive, put it in that computer there, and this cuts out all of it with really, really hot laser beams. So you get this super precise cut. So a lot of times what students will do is if they need little pieces to build models with and stuff, they'll cut out the pieces here so that they're all super straight and precise and that they look really, really nice. And all you have to do is you take out the big piece of cardboard or wood that you're printing on and you pop out the pieces. So it's really fun. Yeah, and then you can build with them, you can use glue and take models. Thank you.
Do they have to write the computer program that will
Something.
No, so the computer program is already written. So you don't have to write the program itself, but you do have to make the design. So you'll use, thank you. Isn't this cool? That it actually likes pins. I just think that's awesome. Thank you. Let me put these up in here.
So she was saying that the program is already on the computer, but they have to implement the design to the computer and the dimensions that they're wanting and the white scale. So you have to go to Mac and design and work with them with the print and what it is that you have to print out.
Okay, go ahead.
Really good. Really good.
We're leaving the air conditioner just to take one last good breath.
material right here, if you feel it, this is some of the material that laser printer can cut on. So those lasers can cut right through that, which is really cool because that stuff's pretty thick. Isn't that neat?
What is it?
This material, this is a cardboard that has a layer of plastic over it, so that way when you're building with it or like making models and using glue on it, that it won't erode the cardboard, so it keeps it firm. Okay, let's go on through here. Okay, let's go ahead and head up the stairs. We'll go see some studio space. Can I stand one side of the staircase, please? How are you? Good, how are you? Good.
Are you liking this or is it just fine?
Stay off to the side, so you have the arm out. One side only, one side only, one side only.
So another thing that's really cool about interior design and architecture school is that a lot of times when you come to college it feels really big because there are thousands and thousands of kids out there and the campus is huge and all of a sudden you're not living at home anymore, you're living by yourself or with someone that you maybe don't know. And so when you come to architecture or interior design school, it puts all of that really large-scale college back into small-scale form. So we're one of the smallest colleges on UP campus, and we do that so that way we can make sure that every single one of our students has a whole lot of one-on-one time with their professor. So just like your teacher spends a lot of time making sure that you get the attention you need learning, say, English or engineering or science, that kind of stuff. We make sure that all of our professors can spend a whole lot of time with you here too. You want to make sure that when you're deciding on what program you go into and which college you want to go to, that you pay really close attention to, it's called the student to professor ratio. And so that means that for every one professor here, there's like 10 students, and that's a really, really good student-professor ratio, because that means that that professor's time is only split between 10 students, whereas if you go into some of the different programs on UK campus, you might have like a 1 to 100 student-professor ratio. So that means that you're only getting a tiny percentage of that professor's time instead of a really large percentage. So that's something that's really important when you all are thinking about programs and what degree you want to go into and what school you want to go to. Make sure you keep that in mind, okay? So we'll go upstairs and see some studio space. We're going to go to the third floor as well as this little work hour. Walk up the stairs and walk up.
Okay. How about Canada? What is this just, Phil? Body. 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 What if someone off a note because they're in this Phil?
Okay.
This is nice.
So one thing I want to do all about. So this hallway, the way it's set up, it's got really long, really empty. And the reason why we do that is because we have those things that I was telling you about, the reviews that we do instead of like paper tests. So what you do is we have all kinds of chairs that are brought out, and you pin all of your work up on these like blank walls, and that way you have a whole space so you're able to tell everyone about what you're doing. And you're able to bring those models, like the ones that we just saw downstairs, or some of the bigger models that you'll make, and you set them up on tables here so that people can walk around them and see them and really look at what you're doing.
It's like a mini museum. museum.
Exactly, it really is. Okay, hang on just a second.
Jump out the window.
Hello, cool world.
Okay, so this is Miss Liz Swanson Studios. She's the
I can stick my head through that.
I'm alive.
Where are y'all coming here from? BCMS? What is that?
Korea Community Middle School.
Oh, awesome. Hi, Liz. Is there anything I can say?
Well, I just wanted to look around and see what a studio looks like. I wanted to show them the difference between like 3D model and some of the models that you all are seeing
Okay.
here. So
Alrighty, yeah, photograph away, feel free. This is a first year studio. It's our second semester, obviously. So these guys are brand new to architecture, relatively. And what we do, we're working on our third project, our final project. So one of our first projects was this one over here, where each of my students, they had to sort of look around the world and find forms that they found fascinating. So forms being shapes of things. So some people started drawing vases, and other people started drawing flowers, and other people started collecting images of like the cosmos and the universe and all these different things. And from there, what I asked them to do was to study it, do a series of analytical drawings of it, and then do a series of models. So this is a series that Matt did. Matt was interested in looking at the universe and the shape of planets and the shape of the cosmos. So he did some of these study models. He's kind of, started with real everyday materials, paper plates, foam cord, found cardboard, all that kind of stuff. And then he built out of wood a kind of final iteration that was a high quality way of making. And this is really excellent. He turned this on a lathe, which is pretty incredible. And then the second, I don't know if that was the first or the second part of the project. Then what we wanted to do, when our first models were all built of solid materials, then I said, you need to rebuild this model, but you can only use lines. So once you build something with only lines, then you all of a sudden have a whole bunch of space. And space is really the currency of architecture. That's what we're really designing here. It's not so much the hard stuff, but the nothingness and the space that people inhabit. So here's another series of models where, this is Jesse's model, and his form that he started being kind of fascinated by was this, I don't know if it was goo or if it was a viscous, it was a splat. That was the word he was interested in, was splat. So he really tried to build the shape of a splat. So that's what he built. And we are looking at, okay, well then once you build this shape and there's all this space in there, what is it going to be like if I'm a person and I'm inside of that place? And Kate did these over here where she this was inspired by looking at a bundle, like a little bundle of pumpkin seeds. So she was really looking at how did all these seeds kind of stack and turn, and this is ultimately what she came up with. And this was then, once we had these models, then we started looking at these at the scale of a building. So we started looking at these, what if a person is this big? What does this become? In her project, it became a townhouse and a series of apartments that she started to kind of visualize. And then here's another model over here where this was kind of like this was a house that Ezra built, and this is the site. So this is kind of representing the landscape.
And you can just kind of look around at all, so we do tons and tons of models. Like, on a Monday, I'll ask my students for 10 models by Wednesday. And they've got to produce, so that we have stuff that we can kind of hold and really look at and analyze. And now what we're working on is a farmer's market and urban kind of greenhouse for downtown Lexington. So what we were doing today was we were working out in the hallway trying to kind of collectively as a group come up with a strategy for how we're going to build this big site model that everybody can use. But yeah, lots of our models are just kind of, they start out real messy, real, cheap, inexpensive materials so that we can kind of work without panicking that it has to be perfect right off the bat, because nothing in design is ever going to work on the first time. It's always going to take you about 100 different tries to get to where you want it to be, and that's just part of the process. So we always say fail as often as you can, because with every failure, you're learning what doesn't work, which leads you to know what does work. So that's our philosophy here. Very good. They look around and do y'all have any questions? Anything I can help you with? What?
You explained everything really well, so.
Oh, good. Well, come back to us in however many years. 4 years. Time will fly. Time will fly. So come back to us and I'll see you in 4 years and we'll work together then. All right, y'all. Very good. Y'all have any questions?
Mr. Whitaker, where are you going home?
So what do you guys think?
Pretty cool, just very,
Very well.
very hot.
It was warm.
But how many of you guys have thought that, she said something I thought was really interesting, it's not so much about the art as the use of space. Did you all hear her say that?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very interesting concept, because most of the time you're looking at what's there and not the space itself. Their purpose is to design emptiness with something that is visually appealing and functional.
You all know that game, is it Minecraft, right? Yeah, so pretty much all of y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we had a first year studio who, just this semester, you know how Minecraft is like pixelated, like in little blocks? So we had the studio, they had to paint 256 little blocks, and they had to use 4 different colors, and they all had to be like landscape colors. So they had to have blue, greens, and browns. And they, it was the same thing. It was the professor wanted them to learn that it's so often in terms of architecture, you look at like a building and you're like, oh, well, it's just drawing that building and looking at the outside of it and how, how we're gonna get it up and have it stand and have it function. But so often we forget that a lot of times it's determining how the space inside is gonna function. So, if you have hallways that are all out of whack and doors that are placed in the wrong places, then it's not functional anymore. And people walk through the building and they're like, who designed this? Because it doesn't work. So they had to paint those blocks and they had to create spaces and film them so that way they could determine when I'm designing something, what is it going to be like when I'm walking through it? And so she used those blocks and had them create different landscapes and different designs and film like a pixelated version of walking through those and how it's going to feel whenever, certain things are in certain places. And so it really is neat because, it's so much more than just drawing buildings buildings and designing where those go and how they're gonna stand. And interior design is the same way because, a lot of times, you know, when you think of interior design, you think of like, what color is my couch gonna be and where is my bed gonna go? But it's so much more than that. We have groups, in our interior design program that are working with UK Hospital over there, and I'm sure you all saw how big UK Hospital is. It just keeps growing and growing. And it's really important whenever they're building those hospitals that they think about, say, the waiting rooms. So when you all go to the doctor's office, you know, it would be really awkward if you all had like school desks in the middle